Hi, this is Clay Stevens of RI Training. The second side of the Associate Tracker is designed for tracking your results in the Build a Team phase. Getting to this phase by mastering the first 20 skills and by increasing your PEPs to at least 30 puts you in the top 3% of all direct sellers. Just think of it. You are now part of only 3 in every 100 that builds their business in the most predictable possible way, according to a plan with clear direction and intentional action towards specific goals. I hope you know by now that this business is a numbers game, just not the numbers that most people talk about. The most important numbers in your business are related to increasing your ability to convert prospects to customers and associates, and to teach as many people as you can to do the same. The key indicators of personal effectiveness and success in this phase are based on the foundational effectiveness you have in the first 20 skills and your desire to learn, practice, and apply the second set of 20 critical skills which pertain directly to building a team. Let's take a moment to talk about the top section of the Build a Team phase side of the Associate Tracker. Of course, you need to enter your name, your enrollment date, and what promotion level you are right now. This is a perfect place to track and gauge progress through your compensation plan. Enter the goal for advancing to the Become a Leader phase. Your goal should be 60 to 120 days from the day that you begin this side of the Associate Tracker. Tracking your efforts and their results helps you get control of your business building activities by helping you focus on activities that produce the most towards your goals. When you learn to discipline yourself to avoid distractions that keep you from purposefully building your business, you'll more easily stay focused and consistently do the things that lead to job-dropping residual income and help you build your future by design. The second section includes PE profile results and personal action items. Begin by putting the dates and results of any PEP scores taken, and make any notes you feel are important for each PEP assessment taken to give you some guidance from the profiles that you've already taken. The personal action items table is a checklist of items that needs to be monitored on a weekly basis so that habits will begin to form and subtle corrections made. For example, there are items that let you track activity and others that let you quickly examine results of activity. For instance, an activity-based check is if the associate is or is not making 8 to 10 contacts a week, or if they're not registered for Pet Builder. It's very simple to find out why so that you can help them keep their commitments to their business and to you. A results-based check is if you or your team member are converting at least 60% of your contacts to presentations. If they're not, then you can focus in on and train specifically the activities or results-based check that's holding them back. The third section includes business goals. Write down as many goals as the team member has for building the business. Don't worry too much about what order you capture them in, just get them down for now. Write down how much each goal will cost to achieve. For example, pay off credit card debt or the car. It might be $3,000. When you have captured some goals that the new person is passionate about, go back and write a date for accomplishing each goal. You'll also want to make sure to write down the goals specific to this phase in the business, which are enroll 15 to 25 associates, have at least 3 to 5 of your associates on a leadership path, and earning at least $2,500 in residual income. Put a check mark beside each goal as it's accomplished during the time the team member is in this phase. The next section down is the time focus code section. You'll want to look closely at the percentages of time that you allocate for things like administration, personal improvement, recruiting, training, and retaining people on your team. During the next weeks, keep track of each activity that you're doing. This is done in the same way that you did it in the Improve Yourself phase. Only now you're ready to do more traditional business activities, so you'll need to track your time investment in more categories. For example, you should now be investing only 15% of your time in personal improvement, doing activities that relate to personal improvement, like reading or listening, attending workshops and conference calls, and etc. 50% of your time in recruiting activities, like contacting, presenting, and following up with prospects. This is the one item that more people fool or trick themselves about than any other. Many people think that they are working productively in their business when in fact they're not. In fact, some spend more time driving around from one place to another than actually contacting, presenting, or following up with their prospects. 30% of your time should be invested in training new people who enroll in your organization, either as a customer or as an associate. It only makes sense to train new customers how to order and how to interact with the company so that they can make future orders. You also need to make sure that your new associates know how to get started the right way. Teach them the success pattern and engage them in a personal improvement program of their own. And lastly, 5% of your time should be invested in retention activities. You won't have enough people in your organization yet in order for this to be a major concern, but don't completely ignore it. If you do things correctly, this shouldn't be a major distraction. Begin tracking the amount of time you spend in each time focus code category. At the end of the week, add the hours that you spend in each category and divide it by the total number of hours you spent in your business. This will give you a percentage or ratio to see how effectively you're planning your time, resources, and activities. Look at these two examples to get a sense of what this could look like. In week 1, put 10 next to the goal box for the total business hours. Put TFC goal 0 as 0, TFC goal 1 as 1.5, TFC goal 2 as 5, TFC goal 3 as 3 hours, and TFC goal 4 as 0.5, or 1/2 of an hour. The actual reporting exercise. In week 1, put 12 for the total business hours. Put 1 for TFC 0. Put 3 in TFC 1. TFC 2 should be 7. TFC 3 is 1 hour. And TFC 4 is 0 hours. Again, this is only an example. Now let's do the percentage calculation exercise. To calculate the percentage of time invested in each area, take the number of actual time invested in each area and divide it by the total number of hours actually invested in our case here. Here we have TFC code 0 as 1 actual hour, and 1 divided by the 12 actual business hours gives us a percentage of time invested in administrative work, TFC 0, of 8%. Repeating this for personal improvement, TFC 1, we get 25%. 3 hours actually invested in TFC 1 divided by the 12 total business hours actually invested. You should repeat this process for all 5 time focus codes. In week 2, put 20 in the goal for total business hours. Put TFC goal 0 as 0, TFC goal 1 as 3, TFC goal 2 as 10, TFC goal 3 as 6, and TFC category 4 with a goal of 1 hour. Now, the actual reporting exercise. In week 2, put 17 for the total business hours. Put TFC 0 as 2, TFC 1 as 1, TFC 2 as 12, TFC 3 as 2 hours, and TFC 4 as 0 hours. Now we calculate the percentages in week 2 following the same process we did in week 1. Look at these numbers and think just for a second about what they might mean to the predictable results this associate is likely to achieve. How would you counsel an associate who had these numbers? Of course, we only have 2 weeks of numbers to go on, but they give us some very interesting clues as to the associate and how to work, counsel, and advise them more specifically. Once you have a few weeks of numbers to go by, you can put your tracking into action by making adjustments to the way that you're investing your time to ensure that you're building your business in the most productive way. As you begin to attach 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4 beside all of the things that you do every day, you'll begin to see that tasks keep you busy. But category-based time management will keep you focused on increasing your PEPs and increasing your focus on the right activities that will produce the greatest result in the shortest amount of time. Now for the results-based numbers that really demonstrate effectiveness in working in your business. Just below the familiar time focus code table, there is a place to begin tracking the results of your work. Traditionally, enrollments and compensation were the only measurements to point to in regards to success. These numbers are important, however, they're a result of many other things. They're the effect, but they don't focus on the cause. Enrollments are a result of effective contacting, presenting, following up, asking for the business, and many other skills. The more effective you are at specific skills, the more enrollments you'll have. And compensation is dependent on enrolling prospects as customers and associates. Back to measuring a second time the result of contacting, presenting, following up, and asking for the business, and many other skills. The more effective you are, the more enrollments you'll have, and the more money you'll make. There is an underlying set of critical numbers. They are conversion ratios in contacting, presenting, following up, and enrolling prospects. Most people don't have any idea what any of these numbers really are, and so they're left to guess and hope that what they're doing is going to someday produce the result that they want. Each week, you should keep track of how many contacts you make, how many presentations you do, how many follow-ups you have, and how many prospects enroll on your team. Having these numbers tells you how effective you are at each activity. Your conversion rate of contacts to presentations should be at least 60%. And your conversion ratio of presentations to follow-ups should also be 60%. Your conversion rates of follow-ups to enrollments should be at least 90%. And overall, your conversion rates of contacts to enrollments should be at least 32%, compared to the industry average of 3%. At the end of each week, you should calculate how many contacts you've made. A person committing 10 or more hours a week should be able to contact at least 10 new people each week. Of course, the result of tracking the number of contacts each week is the conversion rate of contacts to actual appointments or presentations. So you need to track both of these numbers. If you're not able to present to at least 60% of the people you contact, then something is wrong. If your conversion of contacts to presentations is less than 60%, focus your personal improvement time more on learning and practicing your contacting approaches and counsel with your mentor. You should calculate how many presentations you do in a week also. A person committing 10 or more hours per week should have sufficient time to do at least 6 presentations each week, in addition to all of the other things that success requires. Of course, the amount of presentations you do each week depends on your effectiveness in contacting. The higher your PEPs, the better your conversion rates of contacts to appointments. The key indicator of presenting is follow-ups. So track your conversion rates of presentations to second appointments or follow-ups. If your prospects don't schedule follow-up appointments at least 60% of the time, or they fail to keep their scheduled appointments, then something is wrong with one or more of the 4 steps in your presentation. You should revisit the presentation aptitude lesson to get the details on how to conclude your presentation and commit people to make and keep appointments. Another key component to track is enrollments. Of course, enrolling prospects as either customers or associates is directly related to your effectiveness in answering questions, overcoming objections, and asking people to take action based on what you know about their circumstances. The last section at the bottom of the Associate Tracker is a place for you to put the results of each week in one table. This enables you to see the trends in each critical component over a 2-month period, including the overall conversion ratio of contacts to enrollments. The conversion rate of contacts to enrollments should be at least 32%, compared to the industry average 3%. Looking at the trend lines will help you and your associate see whether they are improving and in which area they need more work. In this context, the traditional numbers of prospects enrolled and the income created make perfect sense because everyone can see the cause and effect of the underlying principles and work related to specific results.